Thanks for joining us on Arirang News. I'm Kim Dami in Seoul. South Korean stocks opened sharply higher on Tuesday following the previous session's worst crash in more than a decade, over worries that the American economy could be sliding into a recession. Today's recovery was so high that trading curbs halting program purchasing for 5 minutes were activated for the first time in over 4 years. Meanwhile, U.S. stock markets tumbled sharply on Monday. 22-year-old South Korean shuttler An Se-young is bringing home her country's first badminton singles title in 28 years by winning her first Olympic gold medal in the women's singles in Paris on Monday. South Korea's Cho Young-jae also won a silver in men's 25-meter rapid-fire pistol shooting. With Iran's retaliatory attack on Israel appearing imminent, the U.S. stays vigilant to cool the much-heated tensions in the Middle East. On Wednesday, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation is holding an emergency meeting in Saudi Arabia at the request of Iran to discuss the ongoing tensions. Wall Street stocks plunged to their lowest in 2 years over growing fears of a U.S. economic downturn, rattled by a slowdown in hiring and consumer spending. Now, Monday's turmoil raised expectations that the Federal Reserve may push ahead with aggressive rate cuts. Our Song Yujin leads us this afternoon.
Wall Street has suffered its worst day in almost 2 years due to fears of economic recession in the U.S. The Dow Jones on Monday fell 2.6% and the S&P closed down 3%, both marking the biggest daily drops since September 2022. The tech-heavy Nasdaq lost 3.4%. On the same day, $650 billion of market cap was wiped off the so-called Magnificent Seven stocks, 7 of the biggest performing tech stocks in the U.S. Apple closed 4.8% lower at $209.27, while chip giant Nvidia dropped more than 6% to close at $100.45. Ahead of these plunges, South Korea's stock market experienced a Black Monday, with shares falling more than 8% on Monday, while Japan's stock market also suffered its biggest ever one-day loss. This comes as recent data showed that the U.S. unemployment rate reached a nearly 3-year high in July, stoking fears of a slowdown in the world's largest economy. Amid rising recession fears, there are expectations of aggressive rate cuts from the Federal Reserve. Jeremy Siegel, professor emeritus of finance at the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School of Business, suggested the Fed should hold an emergency meeting to lower rates by 0.75 percentage points, believing the rate should be around 3.5%. On the other hand, some believe that an urgent rate cut by the Fed does not seem necessary.
We went from months and months of when's the Fed going to ease and how much are they going to ease this year and next, to one where growth is plunging and the Fed is behind the curve. So we've had a change in attitude. It's been based on some weakening data. In our opinion, is the economy slowing? Yes. Is there any need for an emergency Fed cut? Doesn't look like it in our opinion.
The market is expected to reassess the risk of a recession based on the new unemployment claims data coming out this Thursday. Song Yujin, Arirang News.
And after experiencing its own collapse on Monday, South Korean stock market opened with a sharp rebound on Tuesday. Fluctuations in the domestic market have led to trading curbs being activated for the first time in over 4 years. Our Moon Hae-don has the details.
Following on from Monday's stock market crash, South Korean shares are showing a sharp rebound as the country's finance authorities attempt to reassure investors. On Tuesday, the country's benchmark Kospi opened 3.76% higher at 2,533.34 and continued to peak throughout the first few minutes until a sidecar trading curb halted trading for 5 minutes at 9:06 a.m. A sidecar is set in motion to prevent steep price movements, and the Kospi 200 futures was up by more than 5% at the time of the curb coming into play. It's the first time since June 2020 that the sidecar has been activated over a surge in the main Kospi. The more tech-heavy Kosdaq also showed rapid gains of more than 5% on Tuesday, surpassing the 700 mark once again. A sidecar was activated for the Kosdaq at the same time as the Kospi as a result. This comes following the country's worst session since the global financial crisis of 2008, with the circuit breaker trading curb that halted trading for 20 minutes activated for the first time in 4 years. The Kospi ended the session on Monday after falling by more than 8%, while the Kosdaq closed after shedding over 11%. Tech shares such as Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix tracked heavy losses amid heightened concerns of a slump in US big tech stocks and a slowdown in the world's biggest economy following on from weak US employment data. To stabilize the market and calm investor sentiment, South Korea's financial authorities have issued several comments. On Tuesday morning, Finance Minister Choi Sang-mok held an emergency macroeconomic and financial affairs meeting with the head of the central bank, the Financial Services Commission chairman, and the Financial Supervisory Service governor. They commented that the country's stock market crash was unusual as it reflected an external shock as opposed to events unfolding at home, and attributed the market volatility to several factors, such as the US July employment data and geopolitical uncertainty in the Middle East. The finance minister reaffirmed that related agencies would continue to operate an around-the-clock monitoring system and work closely together in line with contingency plans if necessary. 문혜련, Arirang News.
The U.S. is discussing efforts to de-escalate tensions in the Middle East, as Iran seems to be preparing harsh punishment against the recent killing of a Hamas leader in Tehran. The matter will also be discussed at an emergency meeting of Islamic nations scheduled for Wednesday. Choi Min-jung has more.
U.S. President Joe Biden convened his national security team on Monday to discuss ways to prevent the crisis in Gaza from becoming a full-blown regional conflict. Biden said he and the vice president were briefed on developments in the Middle East. They received updates on threats posed by Iran, diplomatic efforts to de-escalate regional tensions, and preparations to support Israel should it be attacked again. Biden said they also discussed measures to defend U.S. forces and respond to any attack against its personnel. This comes as several U.S. personnel are believed to be injured after a suspected rocket attack at Al-Assad Air Base in Iraq. Though the source for the attack has not been identified, Iran-backed militant groups have been blamed for previous attacks against U.S. service members in the region. Meanwhile, Washington has been urging countries to tell Iran that an escalation is not in their best interests.
We are at a critical moment for the region, and it is important that all parties take steps over the coming days to refrain from escalation and calm tensions. Escalation is in no one's interest.
On Wednesday, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation is set to hold an emergency meeting in Saudi Arabia at the request of Iran. Foreign ministers of Arab nations will discuss the pressing concerns, including the recent killing of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh last week in Tehran. Iran will reportedly seek to convince other nations to support its plans to retaliate against Israel. Meanwhile, Iran's foreign ministry said Monday that Tehran has no intention to increase regional tensions, but vowed harsh punishment for Israel over the assassination of the Hamas leader. Iranian lawmaker Mohammad Hassim Osmani has even called for the assassination of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
Living up to expectations as the world number one, South Korea's An Se-young on Monday won a gold in the women's badminton singles event. South Korea also added another medal in shooting on the day, claiming the country's sixth medal in the sport. Lee Seung-jae reports.
It's one thing to be ranked number one in the world, but to take on the pressure and win Olympic gold is another. South Korea's An Se-young, who's ranked number one in the world in women's badminton singles, faced off against China's He Bingjiao on Monday and did not disappoint. An dominated her opponent in straight sets 21-13, 21-16 for a 2-0 win in the final to claim the top podium spot. With the win, An claimed South Korea's 11th gold medal in Paris and the country's first gold medal in the sport since Bang Soo-hyun in 1996. South Korea has shown its dominance in archery, but it's also shown that it's one of the best in the world when it comes to shooting events. The country added yet another Olympic medal in shooting on Monday when Cho Young-jae won the men's 25-meter rapid-fire pistol silver, marking South Korea's sixth medal in the sport. Cho started off strong but finished second behind China's Lee Yu-hong. With the 6th podium finish in shooting in Paris, South Korea won more shooting medals this year than any other Olympics before. And finally, South Korea has advanced to the quarterfinals of women's table tennis team event after defeating Brazil 3-1 on Monday. The trio of Shin Yu-bin, Chun Ji-hee, and Lee Eun-hae advanced after 1 doubles and 3 singles matches. The duo of Shin and Jun won the opening double event to start things off. Lee lost the first singles event, but her teammates cruised through in the next. Shin won a mixed doubles bronze earlier and is now eyeing her 2nd Paris Olympic medal. With 11 gold medals in Paris, South Korea is now 2 top podium finishes away from matching its Summer Games record set during the 2008 Beijing Summer Games and 2012 London Summer Olympics. 이 승재, Arirang News.
Political dispute shows little signs of dialing down, with repeated passing of bills by the opposition and the ruling party continuously asking the president to reject them. This time, lawmakers wrangled over a controversial pro-labor bill. Our political correspondent Searing reports.
The first day of the August extraordinary session has begun, and the standoff between the rival parties over contentious bills continues. The opposition-led National Assembly on Monday approved what's been dubbed the Yellow Envelope Bill, a revision to the Trade Union and Labor Relations Adjustment Act. It passed a bill with 177 votes in favor and 2 against amid a ruling People Power Party boycott. The vote followed a 31-hour-long debate initiated by the PPP on Friday after the main opposition Democratic Party tabled the bill. The filibuster ended automatically at midnight on Saturday with the conclusion of the July extraordinary session. The pro-labor bill aims to restrict companies from asserting claims for damages in valid union disputes.
The Yellow Envelope Bill is a livelihood bill designed to fill legal gaps and improve the labor market. Ensuring the right to strike is both a constitutional duty of the country and a right of workers.
The PPP plans to urge the president to exercise his veto power on 6 bills, including the one passed on Monday, as well as the 4 broadcasting bills and a cash handout bill passed last week.
There are no brakes on the DP's legislative flood. We urge the president to exercise his veto power. As the August extraordinary session begins today, we call on the DP to end the political strife and focus on people's livelihoods.
Since the 22nd National Assembly began, livelihood bills, including those addressing the low birth rate, have been pushed aside due to the ongoing partisan conflict. The rival parties have been blaming each other for sidelining these bills. Meanwhile, also at Monday's session, the Assembly passed a bill approving the appointment of Supreme Court Justice nominee Lee Soo-kyun, this time with the PPP's participation. Lee was earlier selected by Supreme Court Chief Justice Cho Hee-dae to replace one of the 3 outgoing justices at the top court. However, Lee's confirmation hearing was delayed after it was revealed that her daughter made a 63-fold profit by selling shares but with her father's money, giving this back to her father. 신하영, Arirang News.
If you're here in South Korea looking for ways to escape the summer heat, how about a traditional tea time that the kings used to enjoy? Beautiful traditional scenery is on the house. Our An Sung-jin tells us more.
The Green Mountain in the background blends in with the traditional buildings. Changdeokgung Palace, one of the 5 royal palaces from the Joseon dynasty, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site known for its architectural value and natural landscape. This building, which opened up to public for this summer, used to be the Royal Medical Clinic, responsible for the king's health. Not only did doctors here provide medical care to the royal court, but they also wrote books on traditional Korean medicine. This yakbang in Changdeokgung Palace is the only one among the 5 palaces which has been restored. Now it offers traditional events such as making scent bags and trying traditional tea.
We put in different herbs for the scent bag. It was really fun to make it ourselves.
Jaehotang, which literally translates to delicious and refreshing, used to be a drink enjoyed by the king and royal court on a hot day. Drinking it can make you feel refreshed during the summer heat.
It's unique and it's a great souvenir actually to take with me.
I'm very interested in traditional culture and history, so I love visiting palaces, and specifically today, it was the infirmary that was open that made us come today. It's really good that in Korea you have these opportunities to try new things. And
on one side, an exhibition gives a glimpse of a daily life at the yakbang with medicinal herb-making tools such as bowls and clothing displayed. This area will be open to the public till August 18th from Wednesdays to Sundays. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
Interest has been growing around lithium batteries and whether they pose enough of a danger for us to actively move away from using them. And what alternatives are there to these commonly used batteries? Ian-jin has this report.
The batteries that we commonly use at home are single-use, non-rechargeable batteries. These are known as primary batteries. There are various types of batteries, from alkaline batteries to mercury batteries and even sodium batteries. But because of their long life, lithium batteries are the most common type of primary battery, recently replacing alkaline cylindrical batteries. The energy-efficient primary lithium batteries are mostly used in smart grid meters, communications equipment, and small home appliances like cameras. The problem is the vulnerability of lithium if it is exposed to moisture. Even a single drop of water is enough for lithium to catch fire.
When lithium touches water, not only does it cause a sudden exothermic reaction, but it also heats the surrounding area and generates hydrogen gas.
That generated hydrogen gas doubles the risk of explosion. But despite such risks, lithium is still the main material used in batteries because of its high energy density. With the same volume and mass, lithium batteries contain more energy and they are lighter in weight, increasing their portability. When made into a primary battery, the lithium batteries are light and have the advantage of lasting longer than other batteries. When made into a secondary battery, lithium batteries can be charged at high speed without compromising battery capacity.
The reason we use lithium batteries is because they have relatively high voltage compared to other batteries, while providing high energy capacity.
For instance, while existing batteries can deliver 1.5 volts, lithium batteries provide a higher voltage of about 3.7 volts, which is why more lithium batteries are used. But scientists around the world, including those in Korea, are working to develop an alternative to these lithium batteries. So far, alternatives include sodium-ion batteries, zinc-air batteries, and vanadium redox batteries, which are all secondary batteries. But due to their energy density and price, experts say that these are all far from being the battery of choice in the industrial field. Ian-jin, Arirang News.
Let's take a look at the latest news in the world now. Following the resignation and fleeing of Bangladesh's longtime Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina on Monday, crowds took to the streets to celebrate the news. Hours after Hasina's resignation, President Mohammad Shahabuddin released jail former PM Khalida Zia and all students detained in the recent protests. 76-year-old Hasina reportedly fled to New Delhi, India, after the end of her 15-year rule of Bangladesh. Some of the crowds were seen storming the prime ministerial palace, with reports of looting and vandalism of parts of the ex-PM's former residence. Bangladesh's army chief, General Waqar-Uzzaman, announced that an interim government will be in charge of the country, lifting the national curfew and calling for new elections. Unrest continued on Monday, however, as police and other government buildings were attacked and set ablaze in Dhaka, while protesters attempted to tear down a statue of independence leader Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, ex-PM Hasina's father. The AFP news agency reported that at least 66 were killed on Monday, while local media Dhaka Tribune said up to 135 had been killed. A U.S. federal judge ruled on Monday that tech giant Google violated antitrust laws as it acted illegally to suppress competition and maintain a monopoly on related advertising as the world's biggest search engine. U.S. District Court Judge Amit Mehta for the District Court of Columbia made the landmark decision, saying that, quote, Google is a monopolist and it has acted as one to maintain its monopoly. According to the court case, Google paid $26.3 billion in 2021 to maintain search engine dominance. Judge Mehta added that Google has violated Section 2 of the Sherman Act, saying that the search engine giant's dominating position has led to anti-competitive behaviors that must be stopped. Judge Mehta specifically mentioned that Google's exclusive deals with Apple and other key players in the tech ecosystem were anti-competitive, while Google also charged high prices for advertisements, which was made possible through its market monopoly. The U.S. Department of Justice sued Google in 2020 over its control of some 90% of the online search market. Shares of Google's parent company, Alphabet, fell 4.5% on Monday, seen as part of a broad tech share decline. Google advertising generated 77% of Alphabet's total sales in 2023. Hurricane Debbie made landfall in the Big Bend region of Florida's Gulf Coast on Monday morning local time, already leaving at least 4 people dead. According to the National Hurricane Center, Debbie made landfall at around 7 a.m. after strengthening into a Category 1 hurricane with some 130 km/h winds late on Sunday. At 11 a.m. local time, it was downgraded to a tropical storm. The Hurricane Center's director, Michael Brennan, said that Debbie is expected to bring up to 500 millimeters of rain to the southeast coast, saying that some areas may see over 800 millimeters. Local media reported that over 300,000 energy customers are currently without power, while downpours and floods are hitting Florida's Gulf Coast hard. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis declared a state of emergency for 61 out of 67 counties in the state, while his office stated that 3,000 National Guard members have been mobilized to recover areas expected to be affected. In South America, 2 passengers were arrested at Boa Vista International Airport in Brazil on Sunday, trying to smuggle more than 500 canaries in suitcases. Federal police agents found the canaries in small cages, which many would have died had the passengers been able to successfully check in their luggage and sent them to a wildlife triage center. This is already the 3rd seizure of hundreds of canaries at the Boa Vista airport in less than 2 months, with authorities rescuing some 1,400 canaries in total. Metropol's news outlet reported that each canary can be sold for a price between $180 to $710. Kim Seong, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. Scorching temperatures continue with heat warnings in place across Korea. Take it easy on the outdoor activities during the hottest parts of the day and drink plenty of water. Staying hydrated is critical as it regulates your body temperature, and dehydration is a major reason for heat exhaustion. Meanwhile, heavy meals can make you feel sluggish, so it's best to avoid them around this time. And just like yesterday, we are expecting showers across most of Korea, and those in the southern regions and west of Gangwon-do province need to look out for downpours during the day today. Afternoon temperatures should go up as high as yesterday with a high of 33 degrees Celsius here in the capital. Meanwhile, Daegu and Gyeongju will top out at 35 degrees. Now, this scorcher continues day and night with a chance of isolated rain throughout the rest of the week. And on Saturday, we are looking at another blast of searing heat with an expected high of 35 degrees Celsius here in the capital. With that in mind, let's take a look at the international weather conditions.
That's all we have at this hour. Arirang News will be back at 2 p.m. Korea time. Thanks for watching.